Dr. Michael Irving here again with Out of the Pain Zone. I'm author of the book Retrain Your Brain to End Chronic Pain. And Out of the Pain Zone is three areas. In the pain zone is clinicians that are working with pain patients and helping people come out of pain. The researchers who are researching and coming up with scientific evidence for why all of these innovations in the clinical setting are working, and then people who have chronic pain and have struggled with pain and have a story to tell. So far, I'm going to call Michael, he's really a trainer, but I'm going to call him a clinician because he falls into the field of those who are a helper. And every single helper or professional that we've had on the show has also suffered with chronic pain themselves.
Yes.
And so, Mike, tell us about your business is actually in resiliency. We're talking about resiliency, yes, but that's your business.
Well, and chronic pain and resiliency are very interwoven. The more resilient you are, there's a chance you'll have less to no chronic pain. And I confused my medical team on more than one occasion where they were like, "So you've gone 3 years with this chronic illness and had no pain?" "Yes, doctor. And I've come for my test once a year where you tell me under the microscope I have inflammation. I have. "Yes, doctor." "What are you doing?" And so part of why it's interesting to talk to you is as a teenager I was taught Shaolin Kung Fu. A lot of breathing exercises, a lot of movement exercises. And it was very empowering physically and emotionally to realize that, wow, this body that I like music. I played the piano and musical instruments and lots of things in my head and my heart, but to integrate my body with my head and my heart, wow. And so that really proved to me that I was onto something, because with deep respect to somebody who had good intentions, and good intentions though can sometimes be really misdirecting, I got told at 17 there was nothing I could do about my chronic illness in any capacity. Well, it was a chronic bowel disease. The pain was off the charts. And
that was more than 20 years ago.
That was way more than 20 years ago. But luckily I come from a family of stay open-minded.
Yeah.
And don't put all your eggs in one basket. So you've got your Western medicine family doctor. You've got your gastroenterologist. So now I have a diagnosis. What can I do to manage it? "Oh, nothing," said the Western medicine people. "Oh, what did my Shaolin Kung teacher teach me from a philosophy, belief system point of view? Make friends with what scares you. Make friends with what hurts you."
Wow.
Oh, well, you're 17, 18 and your belly's swollen up. One of my female friends told me I might be the only guy she knew that understood swelling and bleeding. It's true though.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, so I have a lot of pain. What's this pain going to teach me? Oh, I had a fight at school? No. Getting along with my parents? Oh. I failed an exam because I have a learning challenge with spelling and grammar, and in the 70s, don't spell, bad grammar, don't pass. Used to drive me nuts. I knew the subject matter, but I couldn't put it on paper. So that powerful phrase of make friends with what hurts you,
right,
was like, oh.
What an interesting phrase.
And so I started practicing my skills from Shaolin Kung Fu, from breathing, my belief system that this disease, I should learn from it. I might not be able to make it go away, but I was going to learn from it. I was going to learn that I was tougher than I thought I was. I was going to learn to be softer with myself and not try to be perfect. Because in trying to get around spelling issues and grammar issues, it's not fun to fail grade 13. Yes, I'm that old. Twice. Endoplasmic reticulum will be my nemesis forever.
Right. And so somehow, even as a young teenager, you saw the connection between what you were learning in martial arts and what you needed to manage this chronic disease that you were told was going to debilitate you and end the quality of your life. And you, and really in an extraordinarily resilient way, not only lived with it and managed it, but rose above it in ways in which you applied to other areas of your life.
Yes, so when I got really frustrated, then I'd start getting the sweats and the swelling. It's like, whoa, I've started a cycle. in my head, I would see myself put my foot on the brake and say, okay, we're not going down that rabbit hole. We're not going to spiral down into pain and swelling and bleeding. We're going to spiral up to calmness, quietness, forgiveness of self and whatever's eating me, because life's too short. That old thing about the trouble with holding a grudge is, well, you hold a grudge, the other person's out dancing. So part of being more mature emotionally was to realize that I was hurting myself. Because as some of your viewers who might know me, I can be really intense. So I had to learn to dial that down and refocus.
And there are some that put chronic pain, that two major contributors to chronic pain are anger and lack of forgiveness.
I would agree with both of those, and lack of gratitude.
And lack of gratitude. And who is very, there's a book by David Haskell, and those are themes that he repeats over and over again in his work. Is letting go of the anger, being forgiving, and having gratitude. And somehow you had an intuitive sense of that as a very young man.
Well, my martial arts teacher was very wise.
Right.
He was in his 30s, but he was more like he was in his 70s.
Right.
And Lauren had the courage to take martial arts from 2 different types.
Right.
He'd gone overseas.
Right.
So he wanted to teach Chinese martial arts, Shaolin Kung Fu, but he'd gone to another country because Shaolin Kung Fu was open hand, and he said, I don't want a whole bunch of beginners breaking fingers.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you this style of martial arts, which is closed hand, which is safer, and I can encourage you on. And once you get skilled, then we'll give you more traditional. It's like, oh. So it'd be sort of like a coach saying, I don't want you to learn to run. I'm going to teach you to walk first, if you're an athletic coach. Because he said, I'd rather have you crawl and walk slowly and carefully and get really good at it. Then I'll teach you how to run, if you to use that analogy. So he was wise. I was blessed with a martial arts teacher that was wise, but then my phys ed teacher taught me the gift of visualization. Right. I'd never heard of it before. Right. So visualization is to rehearse mentally with pictures in your head before you do it.
And how did you use visualization for, it seems to me that you use visualization quite extraordinarily, both with pain and with healing from illness.
Yes, because
can you tell us about that?
Later on, I went on had a 7-year battle with 2 bouts of cancer and a failed medical procedure. So I had to get rushed to OR. And as I teased them when I came into the merge room, I'm here for the warranty, because my 3rd surgery failed, so I had to have a 4th to undo 3. Then I came back and had 5 to redo what 3 was about. Yeah. And how did you use visualization in those things? Well, for the chronic illness, for fighting the cancer surgery pain, I love talk radio of a certain type. So the Australia Broadcasting Corporation has some very interesting shows. The British Broadcasting, BBC, has some very interesting shows. Pardon me, we're in Canada. The CBC has some interesting talk radio shows that are intellectually compelling and sometimes very painful topics, so I don't listen to them all. But when there was a topic that was interesting but not so heavy as to pull me down, I would listen, and I would imagine that I was in the studio. Right. So if I was listening to this at home, I'd imagine that you were there and you had your guest, and I was just off camera. And it wasn't my turn to talk, so I was just listening and nodding and, wow, what about this point? And what about that point? So that was one of my visualizations, just imagining I was there. And you enjoyed being there. And I enjoyed being there. So I believe it grows the brain when you listen really well. Yeah. And visualizing myself. So if you're listening and not watching, we're on leather couches. They're really comfortable. So if I was watching, I'd imagine that I too was on a leather couch. Yeah. And I'm sitting on the edge where the structure's really sturdy. Right. Because it feels good to me. I can lean into you. Yes. And I would practice all that in my head, and it would take me out of my pain and into my practicing. There's some research that was done with 20 minutes of visualization, going to a place that you enjoyed, and then putting your feet or your hands in a bucket of ice water. I did the test. It's really a brutal test. And 95% fewer pain cells in the brain fire
spending 20 minutes in a visualization to a positive place.
I believe it.
So you were using that to reduce pain, which we have scientific
Yes.
evidence for, but you were also using that process to heal some of your disease.
Yes. So
What was happening there?
Well, one of the visualizations, I like to ride a bicycle.
Right?
I've never been the world's fastest or the longest distance,
Yeah.
but I like to ride. And as a teenager, nobody liked to ride with Michael too long because what's wrong with a good 50-mile bike ride for a few hours? And on occasion, how fast can we go down the hill? So back being of a certain age when it was miles an hour, I got up to 37 miles an hour going down a hill.
Yeah.
In the olden days, before we had bike helmets, I'd think back now and go, oh my gosh, 1 stone and I might not be here. I've been off in a ditch dead. Anyways.
I did one of those, and at the bottom of the hill, the bike stopped, and I kept going, and guess what happened?
Oh! So I would visualize at night riding my bike. And
Yes.
biking to me is the closest thing to flying that you can imagine.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, because if there's no traffic around,
Yeah, yeah.
I overinflate the tires so it rides really well. It's bumpy if you hit a bump, but your rolling resistance is less. So if the tires say 60, I put 75 in.
Yeah.
If it says 30, I put 42 in.
Yeah.
I've had 3 really awesome bikes. And then I just weave a little bit. And when I get really fit, usually somewhere in July, if I've been riding since April, I can, between stop signs, the cars leave at the stop sign, and I stay out of the way. But I usually, as they're just stopping in the next stop sign, so am I. And they're like, what? How'd you get here? It's called thighs and good cardio.
Yeah, yeah.
But just a little
And-
bit of weaving, and I find it really soothing. And then I transfer that feeling to when I have pain to
Right.
lying in bed going, oh, and if you're watching, you see me weaving. I sense it.
So you had that sensation in bike riding, and then when you visualized that sensation, and you almost visualized it and let it sort of flow into where your illness
And
was that you were healing.
And I'm doing it right now sitting on the couch.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
anybody's watching,
Yeah.
this is me on a bike.
Yeah.
People say, aren't you afraid of going to fall off? No, I'm very safe. My bike's been tuned up by a professional. I've checked it. I've got world-class brakes. I've got a helmet. I bought the extra expensive one, protect a couple extra vertebrae. There's no cars on the road. I have 2 yellow, red flashing lights in the front, 2 bright ones on the front, one flashing, one 800 lumens. If they
Yeah.
don't see me, they're they're blind.
Right.
And it's really nice. And at 11 o'clock at night, it's quiet out.
Right.
So sometimes I don't ride for soothing, I ride for scent. So
Yeah.
in my neighborhood I live in currently, there's gardens. So sometimes you ride house to house and appreciate the gardens. You get off,
As you could smell.
you get calm, you smell the smells, you look at the textures. One of the people that lived near me, he is paid as a professional landscaper to maintain a couple of business improvement areas, flowers. So if you've got 100 merchants, they all pay him a little money, and all the flower pots up on the hanging hooks and down on the ground, he's in charge. His front yard is picture perfect. And underplanting, all the different colors, all the different heights. It's just right out of House and Garden. It is spectacular.
So you have firsthand experience with using resiliency, using visualization, using martial arts tools to both manage pain as well as your illness.
Yes.
And you're a teacher and a coach
Yes.
with families and with individuals.
Families, individuals.
Tell us about your resiliency practice.
Well, sure. So
Yeah.
I work with children and families.
Yeah.
I work with youth at risk. I work with businesses. But one of my favorite students, pupils, adult, was said, Michael Ballard, I got an email. This is back before internet was past dial-up, in the olden days. I'm living at home with agoraphobia. I haven't been out of my house for 18 months. My marriage is going down the tubes. I'm seeing a therapist once a week. Nothing's changed. Oh, dear Mrs. X, I'm not a therapist. I don't even call myself a coach anymore. I'm a tour guide. I'm a tour guide into the land of resiliency, and I'm going to be like a waiter. I'm going to bring your menu of choices around, and it's up to you to choose. I will give you some options and suggest, but it's all on you. But I want you to be out of that bedroom in 90 days and back to life. Oh, well, that's kind of frightening, but I spent a lot of money in therapy with 0 results. I got nothing to lose with you.
Yeah.
I said, well, you're going to tell your therapist what you're doing with me. And so we turned her bedroom into a day room. The bed got pushed against the wall and stood up. Can't lie down, can't sit on the bed. Bring a chair that you can read with a reading lamp, bring the TV in the room, but no bed. This is no longer a bedroom, somewhere between 7 in the morning and 9 at night. And over the course of a few weeks, we taught her some skills. And we also, part of being resilient and part of dealing with chronic pain is, how have you allowed this to define you? How have you defined it? So one of the greatest gifts I was given was somebody saying, do you have the problem? Or, and it happens, at 3 in the morning, does the problem have you? At 3 in the morning for 20 minutes, it's okay for the problem to own you. But you got to, somewhere between then and wake up time, is like a dog with water in a bath, shake it off and say, no, I own the problem doesn't own me.
And that you have some life outside of the problem.
Yes, so
that you've got a period of time and you're looking at your problem, maybe sharing your problem with your professionals, and you have lots of time when you're not your problem, when you're smelling the roses.
So the lady with agoraphobia, yes, you have agoraphobia and you're locked in your bedroom, or are you? You're still a mother, you're a spouse, you're a volunteer. Now, by now she's been laid off work because she's not been showing up.
Yeah.
And one day you'll be a worker again. And you're a daughter, you're a sister, you have all these other roles. So what are you doing every day to fulfill those roles, even for 3 minutes? I want a checklist.
Yeah. How many times a day do you post on Facebook?
Oh, me, oh my. At least twice a day.
At least twice a day.
And
I must get them all.
And then for some people, for some days, I have some direct messages from some people that are in sensitive situations.
Right.
So if you follow my personal page, I put up things that are very gentle. Morning, time for tea, kettle's on, coffee. I've got 40 people who have told me that's how they start their day, with a one-way conversation with Michael.
And so what's your Facebook? How do people find you on Facebook?
Oh, Resilient Michael.
Resilient Michael.
R-E-S-I-L-I-E-N-T Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L.
Do that one more time.
Resilient Michael. R-E-S-I-L-I-E-N-T. Resilient Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L.
And so if people put a post there, you respond to them?
I respond to it.
And
now, I don't allow posting on my wall, but I'm allowed you to tag me, and then I come along later and agree to it.
And if you agree to it, you post it.
It goes up.
So people will get some coaching, some coaching, some guiding. What do you call this?
I call myself a tour guide.
So people get.
I have a menu of choices of skills and ideas on how to be a little more resilient.
And so sometimes people will get a response to their need, but other times it's just the way that you've been right now. You will be responding to other people's, and there will be universal insights that anyone can use to help them get along with whatever. So people deal with fears, people deal with illnesses, people deal with anxiety.
Oh my Lord.
People deal with struggles with children that are challenging.
Yes, so I have a group on Facebook. Resiliency for Life.
Right.
I have a page, but I also have a group. And inside the group, I give away information to help. So some safety information for housing, some physical information. I created 4 mini movies so that parents could talk to parents and teachers, and parents could talk to their kids. And they're little brief snippets about how to be more resilient. So the literature in resiliency, and to deal with my chronic pain, is I am pretty darn tough. And I am having pain, but I am having less intensity and less frequency. And that's what the Shaolin Kung Fu skills and the Harvard Medical Skills, Mind-Body Clinic skills teach, is that, I got stuff. And under the microscope, it ain't pretty. But I have software that I've installed in my head and my heart. And when I get the pain, I go, wow, that's interesting. Thank you for that insight. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to learn about it right now.
And so I've heard through the grapevine that you're pretty good with families and with kids. And,
I love to work with families and kids.
And at the same time, you also walk through the corporate door and help organizations. Can you tell us a little bit there about how does Michael Resiliency fit into the walking in the corporate door?
I worked for a major technology firm, and we did training for 10,000 staff. We did 3 hours worth
Holy.
in little segments, because I said, I can't do 40 minutes at a time. If these people are as stressed as you tell me, you got to put it in little bites. 3 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes. I think one segment out of 3 hours was 12 minutes. Most of it was much shorter.
And how was it delivered to them?
We did video and handouts.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. I was in a major Canadian mall, and some woman said, I know your voice. You worked with my husband at work, because when he got hired, they sent him home with your materials. And so for corporations, resiliency is about chronic illness.
Right.
People who practice resiliency skills are 20% less incidence and intensity, and they're 30% cheaper to take care of, meaning they show up to work more often with more ability to concentrate. And as an individual, who wants chronic illness? Who wants intensity and frequency? So dial it down.
So you can work with a small business that's almost like a family business.
I've worked with small business of
small
5
groups.
I've worked
groups. First time I was introduced to you, you were working with a group of 20.
Yes.
And then you work with groups of 10,000.
Yeah, we didn't do all 10,000 at once.
No.
But we came into a studio of this quality, a real high quality studio, and it was a 3-camera shoot. Yeah. And we did the 3 hours. And then we did it again with live with 100, 200 people in the audience. They asked questions. We did a Q&A, and then they edited it and sent it out to the masses.
The most common form of chronic pain is back pain, low back pain. If you were to tell someone about something they could do to help their low back pain, and you were to just give a few snippets, we've got about 5 minutes now. Okay, tell us about
back pain. Chronic, acute. Well, I have the genetic challenge that I have a narrowing in the spinal column of where the nerves go.
Right.
So somewhere between 13 and now, every few years my back goes, hello.
Right. So the first thing you'd tell somebody is that I can relate to your back pain. I've got the same problem. And what I'm going to tell you are the things that have helped me.
Yes.
And some of them you can use, and some of them put on the shelf.
So the bit from a business perspective.
Yes.
At one point, start my own business. Things are going pretty good. Things get intense. It looks like the business is going to grow, and I'm going to add a 0 to the income. Yes. More stability, more money to help pay for tuition for the kids and all those things. I start getting migraines or migraines. Back spasms. Oh my gosh. I'm going to 2 medical licensed professionals twice and 3 times a week. $75 an hour, $90 an hour. This is hard on the pocketbook, and I'm not being efficient going at work because I spend 2 to 4 hours a week with these people. My friend who runs an office with 20-odd staff goes, our mutual friend says you're having a lot of back and head pain. I would like permission to send over my furniture expert. I got an office chair. I got a desk. It's ergonomic. It said so on the label. I say yes because I'm over $300-400 a week trying to deal with these headaches, which I've never had before.
Right.
And I've never had back spasms with headaches.
Right.
The man very politely told me I didn't have an office chair. I had office furniture. And based on its design and quality, it was probably good for 20 minutes a day for sitting in. It was not supporting my back, my skeleton, my legs in any proper manner. So I bought an office chair, and office chairs are rated by the hour. I bought a chair that's just about to be retired because it's almost 23 years old. But I got my money's worth exponentially. It's rated for 7 and 24 use. So 3 shifts a day could sit in that chair and it should last 10 years. And it was perfect. One arm now is a little tired. It's my right arm because I lean on it more. So that was one thing. Get really good furniture.
So good furniture, there's one.
Then my massage therapist, RMT, she had me practice posture. I bought an articulating keyboard. I now have a wireless keyboard that sits on an articulating holder so I can properly keyboard. Has nothing to do with where I am from the keyboard, from the computer, the screen. And so that was number 2. Number 3 was
posture and ergonomics in your
I now have a 27-inch high-def screen, so I don't ever have to squint. It doesn't matter if I forget my glasses. It's big enough and it moves back and forth, and I move it up and down a couple inches so that this happens. And every 20 to 30 minutes, you shake it up, move. Another thing is have a have a pillow that works for you. And what does your medical professional, what does your ergonomic professional say about you and your body? I've had so many surgeries. I had 5 major surgeries, and I got 70-odd medical clips. Sleeping on my belly is comforting, but I think it's all here and here. Feels safe. Mm-hmm. But sleeping on my back, I get really good. My body feels good in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I have 2 pillows. Two pillows. On my side, I use both. On my belly, I use just a little sliver. Mm-hmm. And on my back, I use both.
So all of these things that you're talking about are structural and physical,
yes.
Mechanical. And yet we started off with the martial arts.
Yes.
So low back pain with some of the visualization, some of the martial arts, some of the attitude things. What would you see for what would you direct people with low back pain there?
It's structural and intellectual, physical, emotional.
And tell us.
And that's about stretching. And I call it being a limp noodle. Mm-hmm. And so we don't quite have the space, but I'd move the coffee table out of the way. Mm-hmm. And I have very low blood pressure, so I have to, when I'm done, move very slowly because I'm not going to get up and fall back down again. And I practice moving very slowly and getting really relaxed. Mm-hmm. And that's how you ruin the audio on the interview. But I can feel the stretching out, and it really is nice.
So that's movement stuff. What I'm asking about is what you learned from martial arts about the belief system and your attitude.
Okay, for stretching out?
No, not for stretching out, not for who you are and what you think and
how do I choose to define myself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mentally and emotionally, what from a resiliency point of view, what would you if you were blogging about low back pain and the way that you needed to change your belief system, the way you needed to address visualization, or what were some of the...
I see myself as letting go.
You got all these kernels of wisdom. Throw us some kernels of wisdom.
Well, it's the wet overcooked noodle. So I see the muscles in the back with integrity, but they're because of the narrow tunneling. I can sneeze hard and I get a back spasm, and it's like oh.
Right.
So I see the muscles, visualize the muscles relaxing,
please.
Relaxing, and I feel what I call double gravity coming on.
Right.
And so to be silly and serious, that means you let go so much that you can just, you can't talk because you're so relaxed.
And so what you're saying is, fascinating visualization to see the muscle as a wet noodle.
Yep.
And then also just to imagine yourself
gently
going into
overcooked, not harshly overcooked. You don't want to imagine damage.
And then going into this, what I saw was a very relaxed state, almost a hypnotic, autogenic state.
And so with friends at the airport, you put your hands through all your luggage, you put your back against the wall where you're very safe.
Yeah.
And you say, give me 10 minutes. I'm going to take a trip.
Right.
Like, man, what were you doing? You were drooling. I said, I just went away.
Yeah.
I was up in the clouds just looking at the world, watching the birds fly around. Mm-hmm. But it's practice.
Right. And so if somebody wants to use something like a visualization, going to a pleasant place or letting the body relax to deal with pain, you've got to practice it a few times. You've got to get
short and sweet in the beginning.
Short and sweet.
90 seconds.
So you get skilled at it. Don't do it and expect it to make a difference today.
No, it's the crawl, walk, run, fly, soar.
And so what I've seen here is you go into this a deep relaxed state quite quickly. But partly you do that because you've practiced doing that many times.
13 and 3 years and change of Shaolin Kung Fu, 3 to 5 nights a week. I went, and it was the breathing, breathing energy. And
so if you're suffering with low back pain and you use these visualizations and you get skilled at going into a deep relaxed state, and 3 months from now, 2 years from now, you have to go to the dentist's office, you can use the same things to manage getting through dentistry.
Funny you should mention that. They tell me at the dentist that, wow, you're the only person that books 2 procedures in a row. Well, one of the challenges of having cancer was I ground my teeth.
Right.
And so they said that I'm 64, but some of my teeth are more like I'm 84. So me and the dentist go steady a couple times a year. And I don't like to go to the dentist 6 times in 6 months. I'll say, this day, 2 procedures. This day, a small one? Okay, a small one and 2 big ones. And they're like, are you sure? As long as it's not going to hurt me physically. And you just get in the zone. Take my shoes off, I wear my warm socks, wiggle my toes.
And so all of these skills you're using in many different areas in your life. And when you have to deal with sore feet when you're 85 years old, you're going to go back to some of the skills that you practiced over and over again since you were 20.
And being resilient means that sometimes you get somebody telling you something and you go, oh, you think so? Thank you. And then you go get another opinion. So I don't know if I told you, Michael, but I have a toe joint that's disconnected. And my family doctor went, oh, you need to see a chiropodist. I went to see a well-intentioned, that's my polite language, expert who told me, well, there's nothing you can do, you're old. It's like, well, no, I am shooting, stabbing pains. I can't walk. I get out of bed in the morning, I almost fall over every morning. So I got another opinion who went, oh, we'll make you up a little prosthesis that fits in your, that's probably the wrong word, a toe bra. It fits in the bottom of your shoe. It pushes the joint into place, and I'm almost as good as new. So part of being resilient is that when they say things are impossible for my health, I go, well, that's your opinion, and thank you very much. And I know, for example,
keep looking until you find what you need.
My diabetes diagnosis, some say it's totally reversible. Well, I'm halfway there. I'm just too healthy for somebody who has a whole family history of it. And how come you don't need this every day? And how come you can eat all this? Partly it's a belief system, partly it's exercise, and partly it's what you practice.
We're just about finished.
Okay.
I would like to hear a story about a little munchkin that you worked with, because I'm sure little kids just open up with you. Tell me about
2 real quick.
Okay, yeah.
I used to go to a summer camp for grandparents with kids, their grandkids, because mom and dad were no longer available.
Right.
Death, prison, addiction, all the terrible reasons why kids don't have parents. And there was a young boy who had Tourette's. I was the first person to work with him that wasn't a medical trained expert. And so I said to the grandma, I have no promises except I'm going to love him and respect him. And of course, grandma's right there. And this boy did everything with his Tourette's and triplets. Doctor, Michael, and only when he was stressed. Otherwise, he could, and out would come a flow of words. But he was hitting adolescence, and this is a summer camp for babies to 16-year-olds. And one of the young ladies was in that beautiful sweet spot of not a child, not a woman, but it's a beach summer camp for Salvation Army. So she came in the room modestly dressed, but still, when you're a 1,000-watt young lady in a 100-watt world, she has curves. And he named 3 of those curves with inappropriate language. He fell to the ground like he'd been shot and started rocking all red, and she patted him on the shoulder because they'd known each other since they're 2 and 3. And off she went. Didn't mean anything to her, but to him he was mortified, and that's the trigger that, yes, he'll work with Michael. I taught him 3 breathing skills to slow his brain down. And then I got him to think, how would you define yourself? Instead of, hi, I've got Tourette's, and then your name, say, hi, we'll say Fred. And sometimes I have Tourette's, and one day I think it'll be almost gone. I don't want to set expectations of perfection. But to me, excellence is, if you're having 20 Tourette's episodes a day, if we get you down to 10, life's better. And if we can get you down to 1 a day, life's almost normal. Anyways, 2 or 3 20-minute periods with him in the day. Next day, he gets the camp director up at 6 in the morning. His friend, Mike, it's almost gone. So his grandmother was ecstatic, and he was excited. And the other one was, we had a little boy the school board was going to kick out because his behavior was bad in SK, because he witnessed some terrible domestic abuse. 18 sessions with a pediatric mental health expert and no change. Well, the mother found me online, and I said, yes, we'll meet at the mall. I'm an acquaintance of you. I don't want him to think he's got to see an expert. There's something wrong with him. 5-year-olds don't need to think there's something wrong with them. But when the school's going to kick you out because you're acting out.
So with both of these kids, what I'm hearing you say is you're helping the kid to see that there's that something is not wrong.
No.
We're not I'm not seeing you because
it's annoying.
Yeah.
So the young man that was acting out in school, we talked about his energy. I don't use the word behavior. We talked about his energy, and he was so mad and raging at the relative that beat up the other relative. And so we talked about the fact he had the gift of loud. We gave out high fives because could you imagine if nobody had loud energy and skills? Firemen would knock at your door. Anybody in there? Should we rescue you? So I had him laugh at the fact that, of course, loud was a gift and it's an important skill. And in the playground, but sometimes we have to shift from loud to quiet. And I taught him some quieting skills.
And you did a whole series for a while on energy, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a whole online program about it.
About energy.
Yes.
And
so
I found that really fascinating work.
So we have bedtime stories. People don't know they're learning anything. They're just practicing bedtime stories. Being a puppy, be a ball, be a horse, be a cat. We've started ones for older ages. We got rollerblading in the park. So kids strap on their rollerblades and their imagination, and they roll in the park, and they feel a little breeze, they hear the trees, and they do a little exercise, and it energizes them, and then it slows them back down. So
you get the kids to see lots of energy, little energy, almost define energy, so that they have almost a kinesthetic mental connection between their energy, and then they can pick and choose the energy level at which they're at, because they become sophisticated at knowing energy.
Exactly. So for example, people think that loud and fast go together all the time. We clap loud, we cheer. Well, I have an exercise where we do loud and quiet, or fast and quiet. You gotta clap with no noise as fast as you can. And you should see the look on their parents' faces, like, because they see loud and fast when the child acts out all the time. And I'm telling the kids, loud's okay, fast is okay, quiet's okay, slow's okay.
But be consciously confident about where you're at.
Do it on purpose.
Okay, now I'm going to, because our time is up, and I feel like we just wet a whole bunch of people's palate, and where are they going to find this stuff online?
Well, I'm in the midst of marketing and remarketing, so if they typed in Michael Ballard, and Toronto, they will find me.
Michael Ballard and Toronto.
Yes, and Resilience.
And Resilience.
And so my website's on holidays till January, because I kept tweaking it and I was never happy.
And you had this in some books and some CDs?
We're on iTunes now.
You're on iTunes now.
Yes, so we've got 7 or 8 things on iTunes, and we've got more coming.
Okay, so if you need to deal with physical illness or chronic pain, you can find Michael Ballard Michael Resiliency on Facebook.
Resilient Michael on Facebook.
Resilient Michael on Facebook.
Or Resiliency for Life on Facebook.
And if you've got a child who's struggling with different levels of energy and could use becoming consciously competent at their energy, and that is a matter if a kid's really high in energy or if their energy is so low that they're really shy, that they can become conscious, and then they can choose when they're going to be quiet and shy, or choose when they're going to be full of energy.
Give them some skills so they can actually talk about it.
Yeah, and the kids can listen to these stories and listen to these recordings that you have and learn from those.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Great to be here.
Yeah. Okay. Retrain your brain to end chronic pain, and we've been looking at resiliency today, and this book, Retrain Your Brain to End Chronic Pain, could also be Retrain Your Brain to End PTSD, or I use the same skills that are in here for business leaders who have business blocks. And talking with Michael Ballard today, we can see that resiliency is a skill. If you use resiliency to manage your chronic pain or your illness, that resiliency is going to be available for many areas of your life and for helping the people in the life around you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.